Welcome to the Disney Hour Express podcast. I'm Abby.
And I'm Rob. We are two hopelessly romantic Disney enthusiasts.
Sharing fun stories, secret tips, and family travel experiences.
If you are a Disney newbie, or maybe a season pass holder, we hope you find this information helpful.
We turned our love of Disney into a unique boutique travel agency that books Disney and Universal vacations.
We've got a lot of stories, so cozy on up, choose your favorite drink,
whether that be a cocktail or a hot chocolate,
and enjoy the Disney Hour Express.
Hey babe.
Hello there.
What do you think the chances are that our dogs are going to behave during this entire podcast?
I mean, about as good as us getting through a Friday the 13th without watching a certain movie starring a hockey masked person.
Oh, is that, what's his name? Jason Voorhees?
Voorhees in some places.
Voorhees.
Voorhees a jolly good fellow.
Oh, yeah.
For he's a masked
okay.
person.
Wow, this is the second one in a row he's singing. Here he goes, guys. So we are going to dive into all the conspiracy theories of Disney because it is Friday the 13th.
And not that really has anything to do with conspiracy theories, but that was where Abby took us, and it's very good. We're all about conspiracy theories and superstitions and all those types of things. So, Friday the 13th.
All those, we just thought they tied in together well.
It works.
Now, Friday the 13th in general is considered a very unlucky day. And there are things that you should not do. One is don't go on an airplane. Come on. Friday the 13th. Really bad news. Don't eat foods just the right size to choke on. Okay. Don't open umbrellas inside. Don't spill salt. However, I don't really understand this one because the salt is what keeps the witches away, right?
Well, I mean,
is that purposely placing salt?
That's in some circles. Get it?
That was a good one. Don't walk alone in a dark alley. I mean, friends. We're friends now, right? Do not ever walk alone in a dark alley. No matter what day it is.
Fair enough.
Just saying. Don't walk under a ladder. This is also probably not a good idea for you to do. Don't break a mirror. That's dangerous. Don't do that either. And don't cross paths with a black cat. I don't know.
Yeah, all those things, they're all unlucky omens that you just don't want to do.
Well, especially on Friday the 13th.
It's true.
Just don't do them.
It reminds me of this, you saying all the don'ts is reminding me of the movie Grindhouse, which was a Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez collaboration. They had all these fake trailers that were made by other famous directors. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Eli Roth made one, and it was just called Don't. And all it was things, it would show somebody, it would show a alleyway, and it'd be like, don't. Then it'd go to a dark stairway, don't. And then it'd be a kitchen knife, and it'd be like, don't. And it just kept saying, don't. And it had nothing
weird.
Because that's what, it'd be like, don't go in the water, like Jaws or something. That's what you reminded me of.
Oh, okay.
You're don't.
I'm a don't.
Now, before we get into that, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Are you a Triskaidekaphobic?
No. What in the world is a Triskaidekaphobic?
That is somebody that has a fear of the number 13.
Oh.
Or a fear of Friday the 13th.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just give a side story here that you, Rob, were supposed to take a flight out on Friday the 13th. And I actually said, are you insane? That is not okay. You do not do that on Friday the 13th.
Well, I also I flew on like 9/11 a year after 9/11, so.
Well, I have no comment about that. I
Okay.
mean,
Fair enough.
Yeah. So in any case,
So
let's move right on.
I am not into Triskaidekaphobia.
Yeah, you don't have any. You're not really scared by anything.
Oh, I'm scared of things all the time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like what?
So sometimes our daughter comes, she wakes up in the middle of the night. She kind of like,
I know exactly.
She kind of like sleepwalks. Like, so she'll like just come into our room. And if you just wake up and you just see like a half asleep child just like staring at you like
totally
right,
messy hair. Yeah. She always looks like that. Reminds me of that kid at the beginning of what was it, 28 Days Later. Wait, no, that's the movie about Sandra Bullock.
No, that's 28 Days is the Sandra Bullock movie.
Yeah, no, so I got the right movie.
Yeah.
The little blonde girl at the beginning of that movie that just comes in the room and the nurse is like, "Oh, hey, sweetie," and then she looks up and like. Like a zombie.
So,
oh man.
So that's whenever I hear like footsteps, because sometimes our cats get crazy. But if I hear footsteps and I'm just like, that's when I'm like in bed cowering, like, oh no, is that a kid? Is that a child waking up at midnight?
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is scary. I agree. But it happens to us pretty frequently. So. Well,
I'm always scared.
I mean, so we're just going to dive in. There are so many conspiracy theories about the Disney World and Disneyland parks, and about the movies. We're not going to dive too much into the movies today, but we're going to talk about the parks. And we'll start off with Walt Disney himself. So feel free to jump in at any point here.
Nope, you're going to talk the entire time.
No, thank you. So the first theory with Walt Disney is that his head is in cryogenic storage.
It's true. It's him and Roger Maris.
Walt died in 1966, and I have to say the theory says that he or his head was cryogenically frozen to be reanimated when the technology to do so became available. Now, it's interesting because this definitely aligns with Walt Disney's kind of lifestyle. He was always creating, and he was always going to the furthest extreme he could go, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean... It's far-fetched, but it's not far-fetched. He was very on top of these things. So, however, 1967 was the first instance of cryogenic freezing of a human that took place. And so he died in 1966. So that's a little bit later. And how this started was in 1967, a reporter from the tabloid newspaper called the National Spotlight claiming he snuck into the hospital where Disney was being treated for circulatory collapse and saw his dead body suspended in cryogenic metal cylinder. So that's like really
look,
okay.
As we all know, the National Spotlight went on to be a giant,
totally trustworthy,
well respected publication. So
yeah, so I mean. And the conspiracy just kept bubbling more because, of course, he had a private funeral, and I believe he was also claimed to be cremated after this private funeral. Okay. So there was just, nobody saw him. And of course, I mean, he was such a well-known man. I could imagine this, if they did have a public funeral, it would just be obscene.
Absolutely.
Hordes of people.
Yeah, of course.
So the lack of public information just fueled the fires of crazy talk.
And there's still they still say that that his ashes, his remains are in Walt Disney World.
Yes, which we're going to talk about further later.
Okay, all right.
Yes, yeah, that's a big one there. That maybe I don't know. But in 1972, his daughter Diane made a public statement that this was not the case. She also did write a book all about him, a biography, and also said in that book that was not the case. What a strange thing to have to be like, no, guys, my dad was not cryogenically frozen. Do you think those words would actually ever come out of my mouth? My dad was not cryogenically frozen.
It's going to come out of our kid's mouth.
Yeah. And then they're going to be like, wink, wink. He was.
Yes, I've been teaching him the ways of deception.
Oh, come on now. So, okay.
By the way, I also just would like to say this. So normally, just to give you a little background into how our show normally goes, is that we come up with a topic, one of the two of us, and then we kind of do our own thing. Abby usually goes into research mode and writes a bunch of stuff up and has a bunch of information. She sends on a Google sheet to me, and then I read it, and then we go about our stay, and then I take 5 minutes before the show and look up everything I need to know at
Isn't
that point.
Such a husband thing to do. Come on, ladies.
But so she sent me the one today, and I looked at it and saw that she had a few facts on the first page, not realizing that she wrote 4 more pages.
This is my jam, man.
So I did not know that.
So it was interesting because I even asked him, like he was in the basement doing laundry. I was like, "Hey, did you read my stuff?" And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
No, it looked good. I was like, all right, it's enough. And then we'll do some other things and fill up the rest of the show.
Totally did it. He thought he was going to come in with some facts, but you know what, guys? I've already got them. Also, I have to tell you, while I was researching this stuff, I started to get the heebie-jeebies at the office, like, you know, with the creepy crawlies on your skin and stuff, because some of these things are really quite scary. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I work every single day with a former Disney college program, Disney cast member. And so she was able to really verify some of these legends that go around the park, which I thought was really interesting.
But you know what? Now that you're saying that, I've never actually met this college castmate, aka Nicolette. So maybe she doesn't exist.
That is so interesting. You've never met her.
I've only edited her work on the Magical Minute.
Yep. Every single week. Huh. Yep, she's just a ghost. She's a figment.
Okay, maybe she's carrying Walt Disney's head around.
So this brings us back. We're going to finish up a little bit on Walt. Okay. Now, Walt has an office. It's an office apartment, I should say, over the fire station on Main Street. And they'll say, like, if you're taking a tour or whatever, they're going to be like, oh, and we keep the light on always in that apartment because a tradition for Walt. We're honoring Walt, right? No, guys, that is not the reason why they keep the light on in there. A female cast member was like in charge of kind of like turning off that light daily as they were closing the parks and whatnot. And she said that she would turn it off and hear a voice say, "I am still here." And totally freaky, really freaked her out. And the light would, you know, turn on throughout the days or throughout whenever just by itself. And so they just keep it on now. Isn't that funny?
I mean,
what are your thoughts on this?
Well,
it's one of the easier ones to debunk for sure. Right?
I think they all are, but let's keep going on. Let's keep the spooky superstitions.
Now, Tom Sawyer's Island.
Yeah, you know, what happens on Tom Sawyer's Island?
Right? This is like one of those like places where you got to take a little boatsy over there, right? A little boat. And so supposedly, now some of these things are really sad. So if you got kids in the room, let's shut this off now. But supposedly a little girl disappeared from Tom Sawyer's Island many, many, many years ago. And there's stories of phantasmic cast members working on the island and hearing a little girl's voice say, "Have you seen my daddy?" And feeling a tug on their sleeve. But when they turn around, nobody's there. Ooh, I got the creepy crawlies. And then, so more recently, in June of 1973, two brothers this is a confirmed story, they did stay on Tom Sawyer's Island after park closing. They tried to later then escape by swimming across the rivers of America, and the older brother of the two drowned, which is really upsetting. But ever since, the cast members say, like, kind of out of the corner of their eye, they feel like they've seen a ghost, like, rippling the water, like as if the boy was swimming away or something like that. So that's also very creepy.
Very creepy.
What do you think?
I mean,
now, I thought there was a recent story about a man living. Oh no, maybe that was just in the wilderness somewhere, but there was a Disney man living somewhere. But when I looked it up today, I couldn't see anything on it, which was really interesting.
Look, Disney's very powerful.
Disney got on top of that.
They just wipe the internet, whatever story they don't want out there.
It's gone, my friend. So I mean, okay, so we're gonna jump.
That's all pretty creepy.
It is creepy because, I mean, if you think about it, when something tragic happens, like, you're gonna, like, let's say I have a lot of, I've had pets pass away, right? And you think you still hear the tinker of their collar or something because it's such a familiar thing to you. And, like, I could imagine that, like, maybe things like that occur. Like, your mind starts to play tricks on you a little bit, right? Super creepy.
I'm gonna get Bailey to when she comes upstairs to say, "Have you seen my daddy?"
Oh my gosh, you do that, I'm gonna kick you in the shin. No thanks. All right, so Haunted Mansion opened in 1969. Legend says that the first version of the Haunted Mansion was so terrifying, a woman invited to preview it suffered a fatal heart attack. There's no, like, factual evidence, but this is a pretty big story that's, like, continuous. Like, I saw it on a lot of news. So that's kind of scary. And so they had to, like, tame down the Haunted Mansion.
This is what they were talking about, the movie that came out this year, right? That's what scared her so much?
The movie.
Yeah.
Way back in
the opening scene.
Yeah. Exactly. I think originally the Haunted Mansion started their construction, I believe, or was almost done in 1967 or something like that. And so when she saw the preview, it then closed for quite a bit of time.
Gotcha.
Until 1969 when it officially opened. Now, throughout the day, and I know we've talked about this in the past, throughout the day, Disney vacuums up a lot of cremated, like ashes.
Okay.
Dead bodies, because
that makes sense.
People come with, their loved ones, and they'll bring it to the Haunted Mansion for some weird reason. And the cast members there say like they wouldn't be surprised if actually 999 actual souls were there from how much they have to clean up. It's like a weekly thing, if not daily. And it stinks because when you see this happen as a cast member and stuff, you got to shut down the ride. You got to call in the Havoc team. These things have to be cleaned up professionally because it's body, and it's
come on, people.
Yeah.
I just do it on the like Safari or something like that where no one would notice.
Well, no, but they also do it on things like the former Splash Mountain. I guess they would put it in the waters and stuff. And
and now you could buy some of that. Gross. You could buy some of that the human remain for $697.
Gross, my friend.
Okay.
My favorite ride.
Yeah.
Living with the Land Theater. Now I got two. So Living with the Land is my favorite ride. The theater, have we ever actually gone in it? No. You know why? Because it's down a creepy hallway. That is but 100% why I haven't gone down in there.
It's very hard to miss, and it's one of those things that every time we go in there, I always look at like the sign, and it's like next show in 10 minutes or something. And I'm like, what's down there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, and it just looks like
I never see anyone actually going in. That's why it's
right.
always...
You see the cast member trying to like lure you in, and you're like, nope, I'm good. Thanks.
They want your soul. Have you
And
seen my daddy?
apparently that's like a thing. Like I talked to a cast member today, and like they were just like, yeah, it's not a lot of people go in there. It's usually really empty, and it is 5 degrees colder than everywhere else you could ever go. It's very cold, and they store old props in there. So behind the curtains, like all the old props that they don't have used. So
is that where the bride that they removed from the Haunted Mansion is?
You know what? I bet you it is somewhere in there. Yeah. So all the cast members feel like this is haunted, this theater, and they even tell you during your training that it's haunted, and you will hear stuff behind the curtains and see the curtains ripple and move randomly, and it's super scary. So they say like when the theater's not like running, if nobody's in there for a show, cast members often just turn on all the lights because they're like so like freaked out by being in there by themselves. Like nobody wants to be in there by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little crazy. I'll never look at that the same, and maybe keep on not going there.
Maybe it should be called the non-living with the land.
Oh, I like that. That's a good twist. Very cool.
All right. So this next thing you had here, and this was something that I had found as well, this story.
Yeah.
So seems to be like a pretty popular one.
Well, you tell it. I want to hear it from your lips. Thank you very much.
So this one, the Pirates of the Caribbean, right, was, excuse me. So right, Disney World opened in 1971, and Pirates of the Caribbean was constructed in 2 years. Wasn't initially there. It was 1973 that it was constructed, and while that was being constructed, the legend has it that one of the people building it, by the name of George, had passed away.
Yes.
While it was being constructed. And so now your notes say, and I did not know this, he fell or was crushed by a large piece of set, killing him instantly, right? Legend tellers, you can sometimes see him during the burning city scene in Pirates of the Caribbean. So because of that, the cast members all say, when they open the ride for the day, they all say, "Hello, George."
They actually, so again, a cast member confirmed today that they'll say it over the PA system as well.
Okay. Yeah, because they like don't want to upset him. Now, what are some of the things what do they say?
They'll say good morning, George, and farewell to George, and just what else did I say here? Sorry, I got a little off track.
Oh, gotcha. No, they're saying that George, he's like he could if like you don't say these things, he becomes mischievous.
He does, and so the rides won't work. And
he said doors open by themselves. People claim to feel tugs or taps.
Yes,
like so that's creepy because especially. It's pretty dark getting into the, like I always have that thing because like I'll be wearing sunglasses. I wear glasses if people haven't seen my face. So I have prescription sunglasses that I wear, and then we get after you get through the queue, you kind of go into the ride and it gets very dark. And so especially I'm always like, I can't see anything because I'm transitioning, like, putting on my glasses. So if I felt a little tug besides one of our kids, I'd be like, oh, I felt the tug. Nope, both kids are in front of me. That would be creepy. That'd be George.
That'd be George. Now we know. And they say George's initials are carved on the bottom of the tall windowed tower. Okay. I'd have to look around for that. And even when it's painted, the initials bleed through.
All right. If the light is on in that tower, cast members get extra watchful.
Woohoo! So now, I mean, some people say that this is where Walt Disney is actually buried. What do you think of that?
Well, I think he was actually buried in California, where he was buried. So
fine, be a debunker.
Those people are wrong. But what's the next part that you have here?
Now over in, Pirates in California, right?
Yeah.
The skull hanging above the captain's bed. So it's like on the bed headboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
The story is that the Imagineers could not get the bones to look very lifelike when the ride opened, so UCLA donated skeletons from their cadaver lab.
Oh, creepy.
So it's supposedly a real skull, but then they said over time, as technology got better, all of the actual bones have been replaced and buried with the exception of the skull. So the skull, I guess, would still be a real...
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know, man. We need to get a forensics team in there. Is that who would check that out? I have no idea.
Definitely.
So, along with all the conspiracies, I have heard this outside of, I think I've known this for years and years and years, that nobody is allowed to die at Disney, right? Especially Disney World. Disneyland, I feel like, has had a lot of death.
Because look, over in California, everyone's, they're on some type of hallucinogenic or something. Something's going to happen.
But also where it's located. I mean, Rob, come on now. don't make haters out of everybody. But like where Disney World was located, it was so specific that it has it's its own city, right?
Yeah.
And it's got its own, the Reedy Creek Fire Department. It's got everything just to itself, really.
Yeah.
So it's not really conspiracy. They try to never pronounce anyone dead on Disney property during training. I think they heavily suggest that if there is a medical emergency, you're calling Reedy Creek Fire Department right away and you're not pronouncing anything.
Yeah.
So, which also makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
I get it. It's supposed to be like the happiest place on earth.
Well, and these cast members aren't medical professionals, so
except for the nurses that give you.
Yes, that's true. But you wouldn't necessarily walk into the nurses' quarters as a dead corpse, person, right?
And Weekend at Bernie style. I heard that the fire department, they actually just throw the bodies into the creeks, so into the gators get them.
The gators get them, and that's how they keep the gators off the property, because they've made some sort of fantastic deal. But then the gators are going to get hungry again, so here they come. Next story,
as they did. So now this is one. I have my friend Kevin, who. Every time I mention that I'm going to Disney, he's like, get a turkey leg, get a turkey. Because he knows that I despise them. And
what do you despise about them exactly?
They just look gross. Now, I love turkey. But when I was a meat eater, Thanksgiving, you kidding me? I would eat the majority of the turkey. But just the turkey leg itself, just like the coloring of it and like people walking around eating it, it's obviously like, what I think of them as is, the medieval times and people having these big feasts. And now even the actual medieval times shows that they have, it's like people eating just like, it's like gross and like, it's like all over their mouths and that. Why would you want to walk around the Florida heat eating a turkey leg? It's just... No, thank you.
I don't know what to say about this, but that's really interesting.
Creeps me out.
Okay.
The entire thought of it. So this one, they say that this is like the myth is that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so like I'm drinking and talking a lot and laughing. The giant turkey legs are actually made out of emu meat.
Now, when's the last time you saw an emu?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
That makes zero sense.
That's why those legs are so big. I don't see those giant turkeys.
That's bizarre, honestly.
What are they doing with those turkeys? Anyway, so now this is another one that's very popular. And, right? People, what is this? It's the underground tunnels.
The underground tunnels. Yeah, a lot of people want to know what happens down there. It's 100% true that there are underground tunnels under Magic Kingdom. They're called utilidors. they are known to be very creepy because, you know, the lighting's not very good and it's just like these long tunnelways. And I think that you also see cast members, you know, taking their breaks. So you're going to see like Tigger and Winnie the Pooh with no heads on and, you know, lots of people doing what they do on their breaks. I asked my cast member friend, I said, is there cell phone service down there? Because I think that would be like the one thing that would get me if I'm in a tunnel and like nobody can hear me. I mean, we just watched Panic Room and I feel like this would be like that kind of situation, right? You're like stuck in this tunnel and you can't reach anybody. So she said there was cell phone service, but you're not allowed to use your cell phones down there. You will get into a lot of trouble if you take any pictures at all. So yeah, the only way that guests can see these underground tunnels is if they do the Keys of the Kingdom tour.
Oh, so that does get you in there.
But also, if you see the tunnels, then you never look at Disney the same way. It kind of like takes apart the magic, right? And the reason why they made them is so that you're not in, you know, Tomorrowland seeing something that should be in Fantasyland, right? Like you don't want to see Snow White in front of Astro Orbiter. It doesn't make any sense, you know?
Would it though? Sometimes I like a mashup. Our cat's trying to creep in here.
That scared me. A little kitty paws under the door.
Creeped out. Now, there's two things to say to that. We had on our recent trip, our AEP trip, we went to Epcot and we had a private fireworks, not private. We had a private area where we were at a fireworks show, and then we were bused back to our hotel. And through there, they had us go kind of behind the scenes.
Yes.
They went over in England, you kind of where they have the old telephone booths. There's like a pathway and there's doors that are like it's cast members only, but they let us go back there to get to our bus. And they were like very
they were very stern about no pictures.
Yeah, you can't take any pictures, like don't want to see anything. And now you go back there, there's like really nothing. There's nothing to see particularly. Right. I mean, they have like these big storage like houses and things like that. Okay.
So, but the one thing that I will always question in my mind, if I saw it correctly, is that it looked like there was a lot of water being kind of pumped out over these storage houses. And the only thing I could think of is the reason why they pump out this water is to make sure nothing ignites from fireworks.
It has to be.
But like, how do they water down the buildings? Like, is that a difference?
Have sprinklers on the top.
So they, I wonder.
Some sprinklers, and because we were seeing all this water drip down, and we're like, what's? Then like, I think you were the one that put it together, but yeah, so that was that. But there was like, other than that, just like it's like carts and trucks moving around. I mean, there's nothing to see. They're like, don't take any photos of this.
Well, I mean, there could have been like Cinderella back there smoking a cigarette. I don't know. It could happen.
Yeah, that's true.
I have no idea.
And now the one other thing I'm going to say was kind of like the tunnels and going behind the scenes at Disney is there was a movie. It was like a low budget movie, independent film called Escape from Tomorrow. It was a horror movie, but it wasn't like a true horror movie. It wasn't like a slasher movie or anything, but it was kind of like people are like seeing ghosts, and it was filmed in Disney World, but without like the filmmaker tried to get the permission from Disney to film in there, and they said absolutely no way. They're not filming a horror movie inside Disney World. And so this filmmaker just went ahead and filmed it like guerrilla style, like they like snuck in like GoPros and things like that and cell phones and filmed the movie like in the park, like without people seeing it. And so that's kind of like a weird thing, right? And that they released it. Obviously, like no one's ever heard of it. You've never seen it. I've never seen it, but I heard of it.
But I kind of want to see it now.
It's from what I hear, it wasn't that good. If you could believe that. So that's like another like kind of weird,
interesting
thing. Let's go check it out. Escape from Tomorrow. Tell them,
crazy.
Tell them the Disney Hour Express sent you.
Yeah, there you go. So this is one I didn't have time to look into, but I think that one day I will look into it because, of course, when they first came out with your entrance, you have to put your fingerprint down, right? not only do you have to tap your magic band, but then you put your fingerprint down and everybody's like, why are they collecting my fingerprints?
Yeah,
right?
It's true. Yeah.
It's true. And all of that stuff actually does creep me out. Like, recently I was at the Whole Foods and they're like, oh, pay with your palm, right? You just scan your palm, or like soon it's going to be like, well, your retina is like, your guide. And
I'm for
so
it.
it's really, are you? Because I just feel like that's when people are going to start chopping off your fingers and your eyeballs so that they can get at whatever you got.
Well, little do they know, I have nothing to get.
Yes, this is true, but they won't know that till after they try to use your eyeball they took out of your face.
They will definitely know. I look like I don't have any money. I just have that look.
Well, oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness, we're messes tonight. So okay, I mean that's something that I'd like to look into, and just like wonder, like, why was it a fingerprint?
Yeah,
like
why
in addition to your magic band, I guess. Well, they have to verify that somebody didn't steal your magic band.
I don't know, but it's just like, why can't anybody just like what does it matter if somebody's presenting a ticket? What does it matter who they are?
Well, I mean, because they could have stolen your tickets, right?
But I mean, that could happen in any case. They could steal your identity, steal your fingerprints.
Yep.
Fake. I don't know. We'll look more into that. We'll do some more research on it.
Okay, so this is not really conspiracy or scary, but there are cats, right? There's lots of cats. Oh. Especially over at Disneyland is really, really known for the cats. They keep cats at the parks, and they only come out generally only at night. I think Disneyland has so many cats that sometimes it's kind of like you see a lot, and they bask in the sunlight and all the stuff on some of the rides. But they kind of come out to be a natural pest control, which I think is so very smart. I like that idea. However,
that's why we have two of them.
No comment. So recently there was a TikToker that captured a Disney cat over at Disney World, I believe, that moved into Splash Mountain, right? Okay. As it's going through its construction. There's just a cat, like, kind of like going down where the water used to be, like walking around. Like, all right. And it was very cute. And Disneyland is known to have around 200 cats they release at the parks. I am just like miffed by like how they keep this under control, right?
Yeah,
like how do they
herd cats?
Herd the cats?
There's no way.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'd really love to know more about this. And so I asked Nikki today at work, I was like, do you know anything about the cats? And she's like, oh my God, yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's just like, you always feel like they're like at nighttime, especially like something's watching you, and it's the cats. And she's like, and they are not nice. And I was like, no way. And she's like, no, they're not nice.
Oh.
I was like, oh. And she goes, and you know what? And I was like, what? And she goes, there's 2 armadillos that live in Fantasyland. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, they're like, they have their own like page or whatever. Like there's armadillos that live there. I was like, are they the armadillos that started the leprosy over in Florida? She's like, I don't know, baby.
That makes
like,
sense.
Oh my goodness.
Eventually it's just going to be the lepers in Disney
World.
So
apparently she was just like standing there one day, and somebody, like a guest came up and she's like, I just wanted to let you know that there's an armadillo next to your foot. And she's like, yes, there is.
And now
I've never like really seen an armadillo, so I couldn't even like identify it. I think, I mean, maybe if the word came to me, but you know how I am with words. But interesting,
very interesting.
So what else you got over
there? So there's another tall tale about, or is it of a decapitation at Space Mountain, right? So legend has it that this is in Disneyland, that a man stood up while riding Space Mountain. And as we all know, Space Mountain, if you ever watched the creepy videos of Space Mountain with the lights on, is that there's actually like tracks and things are very close to you.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of space. Even because it's dark, you can't really tell. You kind of get a sense of it in the dark, but you don't really know. And so they're saying that somebody stood up and was decapitated by that. And that there's no truth, like there hasn't been found any truth to that, but this is what Abby found, was that a teenager did in fact stand up while riding the Matterhorn back in 1964 and was thrown from the cart, sustaining fatal injuries. Cast members will tell you a ghost will grab any empty seat to ride it again.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, that kind of, were we sure that's confirmed? Is that like an actual thing that happened?
The Matterhorn? I believe it is.
Okay.
I saw that article. It might have been like the date and everything might be a little skewed, but like, yes, I believe that in Disneyland that did happen.
You know, and that's like something we never looked up. It reminds me of Expedition Everest and why all the hair ties are thrown on there.
I wonder if we can somehow link the two. All right, let's get our X-Files gear out and let's start the real documentation journey of this.
DHE.
But until then, let's talk about Tower of Terror.
Well,
one of my favorites.
So this one obviously is like ripe for the picking.
Yeah. So a bellhop cast member reportedly died of a heart attack inside the Tower of Terror. And of course, his ghost haunts the ride still. Cast members will not ride the Platform D elevator alone because lights might flicker and he may appear. Now, if you've been on Tower of Terror, lights are always flickering. They were kind of like made to flicker.
That's what they're supposed to flicker. Right? I mean, it's supposed to be a spooky ride.
So I don't know.
The one thing I heard about Tower of Terror was that when you get off of after you get off the ride and you're back in the basement, I'm sure you've noticed it. I've seen it before. There's a creepy doll. It's like a puppet.
Oh no.
That's there, and that's one of the ride, and it's because it's supposed to be based off the Twilight Zone, right? The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror in Disney World. And so there was an episode called Hail Caesar, and it was all about this creepy puppet named Caesar. And this Caesar is in the Tower of Terror when you get off. And so people say that's another thing. It's like the Hello George, Good Morning George, is that they say hello to Caesar.
Really?
Otherwise, weird things happen.
Oh, I'm surprised that slipped my research today. How interesting.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture of that.
Oh, I do want to see it. So it's like right when you get off?
Yeah.
I'll have to see. Ooh. So, I mean, while he's looking up that picture, I mean, this ride we're about to talk about is creepy anyways. I mean, I like to go on it because it's always very well air conditioned and it's like a good 15 minutes to sit down. However, it's a small world. It's creepy and it has potential to be creepier all the time. Park employees have sworn they have seen the animatronic figures blink or move while it's off, like while the whole ride is off, right? And the robots that like represent different cultures and stuff, the cast members admitted to seeing the dolls even sometimes disappear or move into different positions when they are not supposed to be like that. Whoa, what is that? Hold on, guys. I gotta look at this picture. I just got a picture.
Yeah. That's in the basement.
That's in the basement?
Yeah.
Why have I never seen that?
I remember seeing it a lot just when we were recently there, and I was like, "Oh, that's creepy." Because I
probably had such like an adrenaline high from like dropping that I was just like, yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, so that's just like in the basement, like as you get off the elevator. And it's just because there's like a bunch of like older items down there, and that's Caesar.
So creepy. Yeah. Oh, see, that is like my nightmares right there. Oh.
Now I did when we were still just dating, right? Then I pulled out But we didn't. It wasn't like we were watching an Annabelle movie. We were watching something, and Bailey had one like an old doll, right? And I pulled it out that time, and you like flipped out.
See, like I'm not. Oh, you did. That's right.
And I just like,
It was like
yeah.
I had a housemate that left her old porcelain doll in like one of the closets, and my daughter
and like Abby
would
like
play
stuffed
with
it away,
and it's all,
and
yeah,
like
I
hid it.
stuffed it like completely because it was so creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you.
After we watched like a scary movie, like I just put it on like
So
Bailey's. It was just like on the bed. It wasn't like
God. I know.
like put it in our bed or anything.
But that's still creepy. Imagine like I know that I've stuffed it away somewhere because I just didn't want to see it, and then you turn the corner and it's in your child's bed. No, thank you. Scary, scary stuff.
All right.
So yeah, it's a small world. There's been like I didn't write too much about it, but there's been other incidents of where like they'll put the dolls on this ride maybe up in like loft storage, and people will look up and they'll see like the dolls in creepy positions, maybe like a doll that's hanging or a doll that's like, you know, just not in an appropriate position or something, and it's very scary, right? If you look up and see a doll hanging, like whoa. So there's been a couple of reports about that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't think I would particularly want to work on this ride because it, like, I could see how easily it would be scary, like when you turn it off and you're like cleaning up and all the lights are on, and then you look and like suddenly all the dolls are looking at you and you're like, what? Oh my gosh.
See, I wouldn't want to work on it because if you think I sleep a lot when we sit down to watch TV at night, I would fall asleep a lot on that ride because it is boring. All right, next. Thank you very much.
Well, that's all I have for conspiracy.
Okay.
Did you have more conspiracy?
No, you covered everything and then some.
See, look at
I
that.
gave you the creepy Caesar.
So now travel specialist Dylan, I was talking to her a little bit about this today. And she told me that when she was younger, she read the most amazing books. It's called The Kingdom Keepers, and it's like a series by Ridley Pearson. Now, this is, it's a plot, follows the adventures of 5 teens who by day are holographic hosts in the Disney theme parks. By night, they battle Disney villains to keep them from taking control of the parks, the Disney entertainment empire, and the world. The series franchise also includes several other elements such as an online game and an interactive educational tour provided for school groups through Disney's youth education series.
Oh.
How have I never heard of this? I don't know, but it is definitely going on my Christmas list to do with the girls. It's going to be great. I'm so excited. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of these books.
Now, I mean, it seems like that's a good read. It's right up your alley.
Right up my alley.
Because you love to read.
Oh, boy.
Thanks for doing all that research. I appreciate it. The listeners obviously appreciate it.
Wow.
And they're probably also a little bit creeped out right now. So
yes.
We'll do a little bit. We'll talk about some news around the parks. Nothing too big again this week. There was Narcoossee's, which was a place that we were initially going to go, and then we ended up not going to. It ended up closing in September.
What?
It's been closed since September 17th.
Oh, is it
because
getting
they were
like
doing
a
renovations? Yeah, and so
Okay.
now that's supposed to be done, and they're saying that it's going to reopen like any day now.
Okay, all right.
That's good. But yeah, I guess they were redoing the interior, and they were overhauling the menu as well. It's like this new land and sea.
Now, I heard that the actual lobby of Grand Floridian, they did take out all the equipment, but it's not quite done yet. They're going to recontinue it in the new year because they have to make room for the gingerbread houses and stuff. That's coming up very soon. November 2nd is when they start the construction on these things. So they needed the space.
That's right around the corner. One of the other things they were testing out, this was over in Disneyland, but they were testing out their Galaxy's Edge out there, is they released 3 BD unit droids into the park. Oh. And BD unit droids are mostly known from this video game, Jedi Fallen Order. They have the main character has like this droid BD-1 that's like his helper and his friend, and he does all this stuff for him. And the BDs are kind of small. They're smaller units, and they kind of look like they're kind of like walking droid chickens a little bit, like the way they walk. They just kind of stand on two legs and they walk around. So they had cast members like guiding them around today.
Okay.
But they were remote controlled. So like the remote controls, the people controlling them were like a little bit behind them.
Okay.
And they were just going around like the thing. I always kind of said that I was always like, well, how have they not figured out droids in the Galaxy's Edge? Like that there's not like, R2 units like kind of just roaming around. I mean, they have, I'm sure everyone's seen them by now. When you go to grocery stores, they have those machines, those bots that are just go around and they're cleaning, right? That's what they're basically like big whatchamacallit, the things that we always throw away. I want to say Zumbas. I can't.
But they're like kind of like the little circular devices that are like Roombas.
Roombas, that's what I was thinking. It was him, Zumba. But they have these, tall ones. I was like, so why can't they figure out something like that in Galaxy's Edge where it's sensing that it's not going to bump into a person or something.
But think about how grooved and uneven the Galaxy Edge's surface is.
That's true.
Like, how would they be able to let the robot navigate that?
Yeah, so I don't know. So they were trying them out in Disneyland, and they were kind of walking around, and I guess they're going to try to integrate them somehow. So that was pretty cool. The only other thing I had was over in Universal again. Halloween Horror Nights is flowing. We're winding down. We got less than a month, just about we're halfway through the month. So there's a couple weeks left of Halloween Horror Nights. Get out there while you can. Tickets are still available. Just the passes you can't get, which you wouldn't want to at this point anyway, because it'd be a waste of money. So they have there's a drink out there that looked pretty cool. And this is, our family's big on sharks. Anytime we see something with shark, there's a text group that we send to each other, usually to freak out my sister Jen. And there's something called the Zombie Shark Cocktail, which is you could find this is in Universal Studios at Chez Alcatraz, which is where the Jaws is hanging, right? That's over there by the piers. And it's a drink, and it's Midori vodka, peach schnapps, blue, and I never know how to say this, curacao?
Yeah, something like that.
Curacao? I don't know. Sour mix, pineapple, and lime juice. Ooh. And it has like a it's kind of like green and murky looking. Oh. And it has like a gummy shark in it.
Gummy shark, yeah.
Yeah, I'll show a picture. You can see it.
Okay.
Kind of weird, but yeah.
Oh, but that's fun. I would do it just for the nostalgia.
Yeah, no, that's like a cool, and this picture itself has the Jaws hanging up in the background. So they did a good job of it. So that was about all the news I had. The one thing I did want to look at, because tonight it's over in Disney. It's a Mickey's Not So Scary party.
Yeah.
And then we're recording this on Thursday because we said we have plans this weekend. So I did take a look at some of the ride times in Magic Kingdom only. So I took this at 7:30 and Magic Kingdom. And so now we know that the parks close at 6. Mm-hmm. Right? That's when they start letting the people in for the Mickey's Not So Scary when you have the tickets. What was the longest wait time ride?
Was it?
You should get this. It's easy. It's easy.
It's easy.
It's easy.
Well, I mean, Haunted Mansion?
Oh, I guess it's not that easy. It's the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That's usually the longest timed ride.
Oh.
But so this is at 7:30 again. Smaller wait times. It's still 60 minutes. So people are still like, I want to go on the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train instead of like waiting for the parades to start to see the Headless Horseman. But Peter Pan's flight was still 50 minutes. What is going on, people? What are you doing?
I didn't find any conspiracies about Peter Pan's flight. I did about the movie, though. They were quite disturbing.
The movie itself?
Yeah,
Conspiracy?
the conspiracies about.
Oh, the racism?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to dive into it.
Let's not
That's
do
for
it.
a whole nother
Let's not do it.
episode.
Apparently, people still wanting to meet princesses because to meet Tiana, to meet Cinderella, it was like a 45-minute wait.
That is so interesting, these high wait times, because
you should be out like enjoying the festivities, instead of trying to go on a ride. The one ride that you probably would want to go on because it fits with the atmosphere is the Haunted Mansion, and that had a 35-minute wait. Yeah. Right? But that should be the only one you're really going on. I mean, why are you going on Under the Sea? I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean had a 15-minute wait, Jungle Cruise 15 minutes. So, I mean, I can see if you're just like, you know what, I'm going to go swing by and go on one of these rides real quick. And
you know why I do think it's probably more heightened too? I mean, although as the tickets sell out, they sell out, right? I think they do have more released towards the end of October. But I read today, one of the ladies we went to AEP with, her school is on a fall break.
No.
What is fall break? Are you kidding me? So she's there with her family right now. Okay. So I'm I'm wondering if there's more fall breaks out there.
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's something it's unheard of for us Northerners.
What is a fall break?
What is fall? I don't even know what seasons are. What are those?
Kind of like we're just stretching our legs here. It's great. It's actually beautiful weather here right now. I'm loving it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's sweater weather, as they say. You have a pumpkin spice latte and grab your sweater and go watch lacrosse or something. I don't know.
Go pumpkin picking and apple picking. I think is just about done, but
I tell you, one conspiracy that doesn't exist is that people say that I don't enjoy doing these episodes with you. And that's not true.
Who says that?
That does not exist. Oh, the interwebs. That's all they talk about.
Oh.
It's everywhere. I really enjoy sitting across from you and listening to all your fun facts, and I appreciate it.
I hope
you are a great co-host.
Aww.
And she's smiling right now. She's pushing her cheeks in to hold the smile back, but that's just what I wanted to say.
Well, thanks, baby. I enjoy doing them with you, and I hope we can do another 41.
And I want you to remember this when I bring out the creepy doll tomorrow for Friday the 13th.
Remember, guys, we have talked on these episodes about how when I get surprised and shocked, the fists just start coming out. It's something I cannot control. Do not sneak up on me because you are going to get throat punched.
It's Abby and her fist of fury.
I will feel very horrible about it and cry, and I will feel very, very bad, and you will just feel very hurt. So
it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth sneaking up on me. It's just not.
But you can put a creepy doll in her line of sight.
No, I will not be happy with you. Please don't do that.
I promise.
In any case,
fingers crossed.
We hope you are enjoying your October as much as we are.
And we hope you enjoyed your Friday the 13th.
And you didn't do any of those bad things that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, because it will bring you so much bad luck.
This has been a Family Travel Planner production.